to you for your help. Grant us strength, faith, and a willingness to always make the proper and correct decisions to benefit all of our village residents. Also, in view of the current coronavirus pandemic, we're asking your help and blessing in protecting West Virginia residents, but are concerned especially for all of our Bethlehem families. Thanks be to God for all you do for us. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Matt, do you want to call the roll, please?
Councilman Otten,
Here.
Councilman Bishop,
Here.
Councilman Herschuk,
Here.
Councilman Henry,
Here.
Mayor Junkins,
Here.
Councilman Sassine,
Here.
Recorder Sassine, here. Councilman Snyder,
Here.
Councilman Wisner.
Here.
Okay, next we have before us the council minutes of the September 7, 2021 meeting. Does everybody have a copy? And in view of that, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there any question on the motion? If there be no question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Back to you, Matt, for your report.
The next council meeting will be held on Monday, October 4th, 2021 at 8 p.m. That's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Okay, next, Jamie, do you have anything you want to report on the finance?
No, just the financial statements for August and the audit for June 30th, 2020 is complete, and there were no findings in that. So, and I'm finishing up the June 30th, 2021, and that'll be under audit probably within the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, next, move into the mayor's report. We are again requesting that all visitors and individuals that come into the village office wear a mask. There have been many reports that this virus is on the increase in reported cases. I think if you pick up the newspaper, watch TV, I don't know, it seems like the politicians get into it, and the left hand sometimes doesn't know what the right hand's doing. That's why we had Matt send around the big bold notice about masking. Next, I sent a copy of a letter that I sent out to all the residents of Poplar Lane, Sugar Lane, and Walnut Avenue. And as it states there, please be informed that weather permitting, and that's a big bold statement. The village has contracted with Cast and Baker Corporation to asphalt will pave the following areas beginning the week of September 26, barring any unfortunate circumstances. We're asking residents to be patient during this procedure and do not park on the pavement for several days after, allowing time for the new asphalt to cure. Driving is okay. This project will last approximately 7 to 10 days. Any questions, you can call the office the girls have here. Thank you for your patience and understanding. We hope you enjoy your new roadways. And talking to Cass and Baker today, when I sent this out last weekend, I was looking at the weather forecast this week, and it looked like we got a stray cloud delivered some rain this afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon is supposed to start the rain. Wednesday, there's like 80% chance of rain. Thursday, it's going to taper off. Then Friday and Saturday are good. But when I talked to them today, they gonna surprise me because they can rotomill when it rains. So they're gonna start Wednesday morning. And, right, the rotomill. I thought we were gonna have to wait maybe till next week, but, I wasn't aware of that. I've seen them work in the rain before, but I thought they had to have dry weather. When they pave, that's a different ballgame. So, one of the things too, to work with them, we'll have to take our backhoe down to the ball field parking lot, because that's where they're gonna put the rotomills down there and stack it up on our pile. And then also, we're gonna have to have a police on the alert to keep the people that working on the road where they're working on the road. So, anyway, the village's annual fiscal financial statement covering the period July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021 was published in the Wheeling News Register on Friday, September 10, 2021, as scheduled. And of course, then we got the bill for that same time. Bob had that on his desk tonight. An update on the High County surplus police cruisers. The 2010 Chevy that we have in our possession, we have completed most of the repairs and maintenance that we can do in-house. Next, we're going to send the cruiser down to state inspection shop to see what's needed, so we can get an inspection sticker on it. Then it has to go to a radio repair shop for interior accessories that need attention. That's something that we can't get into, like the crossbar lights and things that they do. The 2012 Chevy Tahoe will be used by Police Chief Russ Fair, as this is his main vehicle. This vehicle, when received, will go through the same process of evaluation before placing into service. Also, the 2014 Chevy Caprice will go through the same process of evaluation before that's placed into service. As mentioned at the September 7 council meeting, VHM CPA Group Incorporated, our external auditors report has been received and reviewed by our accountant and myself. We find it to be favorable with no problems. They have a form that you have to send back to them to acknowledge that you received the report, which has occurred. Then on September 9, we had a small water break at near 158 Ridgecrest Road during the day. Our street crew completed the repairs on day turn. This long year problem that the village has inherited at the Briding property at 7 Birch Lane has to be concluded. We frequently get calls of concern regarding the high grass, weeds, garbage left on the property. Unknown individuals were sleeping inside, trespassing. The village crew has addressed all these concerns. However, we're no longer doing this type of maintenance on this property, as it's not our responsibility. The relatives of this property will be notified by registered mail. Also, there's been some complaints regarding surface water on Birch Lane, which have been corrected. There was a clogged storm sewer line going to the existing catch basin in that area, and that's what was putting the water on the road. So that has been resolved. We were going to put another catch basin in, but we didn't have to do that yet. So, on Monday, September 13th, Bethlehem Fire Department member Richard J. Howard passed away at home. Rick was the father of Bethlehem Fire Chief Jacob Howard, father of Village of Bethlehem Patrolman Jesse Howard, and he has 2 other brothers, Paul and Donnie Howard, and wife Linda. That there wasn't anything in the paper. They didn't have any. They've had, I think, private services. They wanted to remain private. This morning, approximately 7 o'clock, concrete workers started pouring and finishing nearly 200 cubic yards to form the new driveway approach to the new Bethlehem building on Chapel Road. That's a lot of concrete to be placed at one time. There were cement mixers, plus all kinds of guys on the ground finishing it, and so that's been completed. That's going to pave the way for to get the water lines in. Now, the water and sewer lines can be put in, and they won't. It'll be on alongside. It's not going to be through the concrete. So I think that's all I have right now under my report. So, other officers' reports. TC, do you have anything?
business. I'm gonna bring up a couple of matters with regard to, one with regard to Castellan Development, and the second with regard to the request that I made on behalf of, at your request to the West Virginia Ethics Commission supplement.
Okay. And, we don't, okay,
That's all I have.
okay, thank
All
you.
I will have.
Police chief report, you had the monthly report at the last meeting. I don't think there's anything, at least he hasn't told me he had anything to report. So next I'd like to sort of go down the line for committee reports. Parks and Recreation, Aaron, you have anything to report?
The only thing I have is we're waiting for a bid from Steggles Landscaping. We're gonna get a bid and see what it's gonna look like to get rubber mulch trips. We're looking at just doing the playground over on Mount Lebanon Cedar. There's a lot that goes into it. So once I get that written estimate, I'm hoping by next meeting I'll have it to present and everything like that.
Okay.
But that's all I have this evening.
All right. Let's see here. Next, police, is there anything under police, Bobby?
I have none.
Okay.
I have a question on our police. You were talking about repairing the cars. Is there a limit that we've set to where, well, one of these cars, if it's gonna cost us $8,000 or $9,000 to do the repairs it needs,
Well, I think
do we say, okay, never mind, forget about it?
Yeah, well, that's something that as we go, we've done a lot of work in the house, so things that we can do. We have some guys that are mechanics that we can do so much, and I'm gonna do as much as I can in-house. But your thought is good, but if we got to that point, I would, enough's enough.
What is that point?
Well, I don't know, just
Okay.
seeing what's wrong with it. Just like, for instance, our 2018 Dodge Cruiser. We had the reservoir replaced in that with holds the cool and everything. And we got it back for a while and it was still leaking. Well, I thought it was the tubing and everything underneath. So we sent it back down and told them here it needs a new radiator. And that was not covered by warranty. So there's $1,100 right there that we have to. Now, the 2019, we got the same problem. Now, we sent it down to them and here they came back and told us that the water pump is bad. And it's gonna take 3 weeks for them to get the water pump in. And that will be covered by warranty. We only have like 30,000 miles on that. We got about 63 on the 2018 and I thought, well, when they replaced the engine and everything on that, I thought, well, maybe they didn't check it, but what they did, they pressure tested and found that it would hold pressure and everything, and here's a leak in the radiator. So, to get back to answer your question, wouldn't be prudent to, put several $1,000s
Right.
in it.
Yeah, that's why.
They seem to be pretty good shape, like the one that's out there now. It's functional. Once we put the charger on it, it didn't take long to charge it up, and then we let it charge itself from its own alternator to make sure that functioned. So right now, there's just some interior lights that we don't get into, and that's somebody like Vericom, Staley, that's their bag. So that's where that's gonna go after we get inspected. But we wanna get inspected, see what it is to get a sticker on it. So we're in that stage of
I would just
the
encourage us to
evaluation.
remember that all expenditures over $1,000 need to be approved by council.
Yeah. Well, I don't wanna spend too much, that's why I like to do in-house here. The guys are capable of doing things, and when you start asking, oh yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Tommy and Steve on roads and streets.
Last week, Tuesday, I met with one of the contractors that does the ceiling, Superior. We spent the afternoon going around the village, showing him the roads. He inspected them, and he's working on an estimate. And then again on Friday, I met with VHV. And we spent the afternoon going around looking at the streets and roads on the list to seal. And they were both told to give us a price on each road, materials and labor, because we might not be able to afford it. We might do half this year and half next year according to whatever council would like. So I also asked them about their season. And their season could go into November according to the temperature. So we're waiting this week to get estimates back. And the mayor talked about the paving start this week, so if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Did you present them with all the lanes that you guys came up with, or just certain ones?
No, yes, all of them. So if it gets to the point, say we can't afford this, or the weather runs out, let's do half of them, let's do the important ones. Because we have roads that's been paved, it's never been sealed, that should, like, over there Renaissance Way. That is like paved probably 3 years ago or something, just guessing at it.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes. Yeah, at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, so in return, it has cracks, but not big ones, and not a pile of them, but this is the time to do it. So like I said, and then we can discuss what roads we want to do, what roads we don't want to do, all amongst council. But I tried to get the homework done, helping the mayor, because he was pretty much overwhelmed last week. And Tommy, he had his schedule full at work, so I took care of it.
All right.
Appreciate that too, Steve. Being able to do that in the daytime.
Yeah, as soon as we get the quotations in, we'll get to council one way or another, because the weather's, it's starting to change, just like the end of this week, where they tell me it's gonna be, or they're projecting, it's gonna be in the 70s at some time, one day when the 60s, but then Saturday and Sunday's supposed to go back up to 80 again, I guess.
One thing to add, Linco no longer does sealing, so they were off the list. And this tennis, they do roofing, sealing, and a pile of things, and they never answered a number of calls, so they're probably overbooked. So we tried 4 places to get 4 contractors, 2 responded. I think we can work with those 2.
Have we used this company before?
VHB we have.
All right, so we're familiar with their work. And,
Yes, they're from Barton, Ohio.
They did a great job last time.
all right.
That guys went back to what, 2009 that VHVs first started with us,
No,
or 4?
around, the
Wasn't that
previous
far
mayor
back.
started the program, Mr. Daniels, I'm gonna say 2007, 2006,
Yeah.
and when it originally started the ceiling, so,
Yeah, 'cause
it wasn't consent every year. It was according to the roads and what we paved, or, the cycle we followed, so there were skips in the
I think
ranks.
it's been 3 years.
Yeah, we only did it once while I was here.
Under you.
Yeah, we only did
Yeah.
it one time in the 4 years I was here.
All right.
It does help.
Yeah, I've got a folder on VHV on some of the ones that I was able to capture what they did, but I think 2007, I think, when.
The first
we were-
year.
Yeah, it was the first year.
Yeah.
It was back at Redstone, when because he came in 2005, and he started that. Okay, Tim, water and sewer?
Nothing, glad to hear about the water issue on Birch. Thank you very much. I know the residents over there will be happy too. It's probably impossible to tell right now because of the deluge we got earlier this evening, but when did they get it repaired? When did they get it cleared?
It was last Thursday. I
Last
think.
Thursday, okay. So thank you, I appreciate that.
But just touching a little bit on that property over there, that's, we're not in the maintenance business, you don't mind helping out, but it's, you send people a letter and you don't know where they get it, so I'm starting to send register letters, return receipts, so that
Yeah,
they
at
get
some
it.
point, you have to understand where they're coming from. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to live next door to that, I wouldn't want to live next
Yeah.
door to that. We got to understand where they're coming from.
Oh, yeah,
So anything that we can do to help clean that up, I'm all for it.
yeah, well, I have the same problem where I live.
Right.
Right now, so I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is just gone along too long, and it's, but anyway, my file was growing on that one. Zoning, anything on zoning, Mark?
Nothing this evening?
Okay. Is Ben, no, I don't see Ben here tonight, okay. Ben has been busy, keep him busy, he's got projects to do, but I usually, now, because different things crop up, I get phone calls and such, and I usually just give him a note, and he gets it done, so usually sometimes the same day, depending when I give a note, same day or next day, but he's been kept busy, trust me. Okay, done the committee reports. Old business, I have a couple of notes here from the last meeting, which I was not here. Addition or proposed recycling of cardboard products, having Yakim's come in and spot a container in the village's parking lot next to our building. When I was first asked about the idea, I was not in favor because of the village's previous experience down at Village Drive Ball Field parking lot. When I first came down here, the trash container was out here in the parking lot, and it took up parking place, and that's when I stuck it in the back. Now, as far as recyclables, I do some recycling myself. They do, up at the Highlands, they have certain days you can go up there. There's other places you can, but if we had something down there with recycling, you're asking for trouble. Who's gonna police this? Like down at the ball field, when the High County Solid Waste Authority had roll-off containers down there, they had big signs on there what they wanted in there. They had like the cardboard, paper products in one, and the other one was glass and plastics and everything. But then when people start putting garbage in there, that's when Ohio County got sort of incensed, because what they had to do, instead of taking the recyclables to the proper recycle place, they had to take it up to the landfill and pay them a charge to take because the garbage was in there. And it's just, people are creatures of habit. I don't know, maybe we don't know who was dumping down there at the Village Drive Ball Field. We had cameras down there. Cameras got stolen sometime. They had batteries in, they didn't get service, and it was just quite a. I like to recycle and everything, but it takes a lot of policing and everything to get the job done. So I know that was discussed and everything was sort of put on the table. I'd like to take it off the table, and I'm not in favor of it. I don't know what council feels about it.
We all felt pretty much the same. I thought we kind of told Aaron that we weren't in favor of it.
Oh, you weren't, okay, well, I thought it was.
Am I not
okay.
correct?
Sorry,
I don't think
so
so.
don't waste your time.
I thought that's what we decided.
Also, Ben had requested a purchase of a vehicle. Ben and I have been looking around for a utility truck that has toolboxes on the sides and some on the back and everything. And he came up with this 2013 Jeep Cherokee. I don't think there was really, I really wasn't that much in favor. He did some homework on it, and he took a look at it, but we've also looked at some utility trucks, and all of the ones that we've seen that are advertised are junk, and we don't need to inherit a liability. So I just wanted to mention that if we find something that's suitable as far as a utility truck, I'll tell you, the gas company has them. There's other people that you see, and they're not that big of a truck, but they've got compartments on the side, and this is ideal for water breaks. Then you don't have to play gopher, and you have most of the time you'd have all your needed supplies on this utility truck. So if something comes up in the future, I'll have that presented to council. Also, at the last meeting, I had secured 3 quotations for the installation of water and sanitary sewer line for the Bethlehem Fire Department's new building. And what I had two quotations that were detailed, and the third one was from HP Excavating, and he didn't have time to give me a breakout, but he gave me a bottom line. And I have his formal quotation, and if you want to just take a look at it. This is a turnkey deal, whereas he would do everything with the exception that Ben and the crew would be there to do the taps that they normally do. Our people do the water and sewer taps, so they would be there to. But on the other hand, Kenny Horton knows what's done, but still, a contractor can put in what they're supposed to when somebody say builds a new house, and so. I don't know if you have any questions on it. I don't. We've had much experience with Kenny Wharton. After all, he did basically our water lines on Walnut. First, he did the water lines on Green Tree Road, then Walnut, then Poplar, then Sugar. So he's not a novice at this. This is his everyday job. But I wouldn't be using him if I didn't think he was reasonable to begin with. He was reasonable on this, and as you recall the other quotations, the contractor that's working for the fire department, they bid $21,600. And one of the things where they were gonna bore the road, as was the quotation from Ohio, West Virginia Excavating. So there is a permit request to the state to ditch the road, and that's what Kenny would be doing, ditching the road, so. Anyway, if you wanna wait till a little bit later in the meeting to digest the quotation there.
Right behind you.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was, I'm different, materials, labor.
Right, and
That's
that's,
what I hate to be a stickler, but, that's just the way.
Matt, do you need a copy of this? For the-
you're thinking the way I'm thinking.
No, I'm okay.
Like, I wanna know how much the pipe costs, I wanna know how much your.
Well, how much,
Yeah.
within the reason of a couple feet of pipe.
Right.
Fittings.
I was thinking that
you
same
know,
way too.
I
And
just,
it's just, there's no breakdown, it's just,
I just look at things differently in life. Bottom line is just not the bottom line.
well, the existential conundrum doesn't really have anything to do with the water line there, but, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
That bottom number's the same, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there's no
Break down a little bit so you
Yeah,
can
like the
see.
pipe's
what
costing
it
us,
costs more.
labor's costing us.
Well, if you go to a
Ultimately-
shop to get your car repaired, and the guy tells you it's gonna cost you $1,800, you wanna know, well, what's the problem, what's the parts, what's the labor, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, just write you a check.
We also
You know.
talked about it. Just
Well,
one
ultimately, it
factor.
doesn't matter. He's gotta put the proper stuff in there. What do we need to know? And again,
I see that point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the council feels, the rest of you guys, but originally George wanted to see if we would cover the cost of this installation, but I'm thinking, why don't we just, don't even consider that, but just make a donation, discuss whether council wants to make a donation to the fire department, end of story.
Well, we can't cover the cost, that's, if we do that for one private organization, then if Farm Fresh redoes their water line, they come to us and say, well, you did it for one, you gotta do it for us. So, if anything, it's gotta be a general donation from the general fund, we can't make a donation from the water or sewer.
Right.
It would have to be a general donation from the
Out of the general fund.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. To the
For
fire
them to use
department.
whatever they want.
Exactly, and
So
that's
they-
my point. too.
So if we make a donation for $15,000 and they wanna use dig a big hole in the backyard, that's what they do.
Bingo.
Right,
That's my
and it
point.
needs to go from the village to the fire department. To be in the financial statements under a contribution to the fire department, you can't be paying the company.
Right.
You
Right.
have to give the money
Yeah,
to
to
the
the
fire
fire
department.
Yeah.
And you don't want it on your books as you paying the company anyway, because then you get into
Right.
the issue of,
If you
well,
do it for
did it
one,
for
you
one,
gotta do
yes.
Yeah,
So it
and
does just
that's
need
my
to be,
point.
whatever the amount, is, your discretion, but I do think you need to just be doing the check to the fire department, and they need to be worrying about who they're paying, and, I mean, you can use those as a figure of how much is your donation gonna be, but I don't think you should be deciding on the contractor, I don't think
Right.
you should be doing any of that.
Right, and that's
Right.
my point.
I agree with
Just
that.
make a donation to the fire department. We don't care what they do with the money. We just have to come up with a number that we're all comfortable with, and it comes out of the general fund. End of story. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel about it, but. And that with Jamie, like, we don't have to justify, oh, well, we gave money to the fire department so they could do water. That's very specific. If we just say we're making a donation to them
Just say it to help
to help the,
build the,
Right, with
Yeah.
the construction of the
Construction,
new
yeah.
building.
exactly.
That was suggested by Jamie and Tom, I think, last meeting, that
Mhm.
we go that avenue.
So the real question is, how much do we wanna give?
yeah, and what kind of shape are we in to give how much?
Yeah,
So,
we were waiting for you to
once
kinda
we
give us a
pick a number
recommendation.
for you, right, Jamie, you can kinda give us a,
Mhm. Well, the general fund is, as far as cash, I mean, you guys are good there, so, I mean, if you're thinking 15,000, like, that doesn't alarm me. If you're thinking more than that, then we have that we have that discussion, but if that's along the lines of your thinking, that doesn't alarm me with what we have in, checking available. If you have another number, then we'll evaluate it.
I'm okay with 15,000 and, I know, That.
Pardon my French, but nuh-uh.
Sure, sure, you don't want 20.
We'll take them.
How do we feel about it, guys?
No, I think we have to be reasonable about it, right?
Yeah.
You don't
So
wanna
here's my opinion after looking at the 3 quotes and like being involved in the material and the space of that work. I don't know if HP is throwing the village and the department a bone, because I think that's a very low bid. I feel like they are, since we have brought them a lot of business. I think MRE's bid is probably more neutral, and I think Ohio Excavation is extremely high. I don't know if they want it. So with that being said, I think the due diligence was done, and I think we did receive 3 bids. I fully agree with Mark, and I feel we should get out of the weeds with it, quote unquote, and just decide what donation we want to make. I don't think it's worth bickering over the material aspect, because, again, from my experience, the HP bid is underbid, in my opinion. So I'm assuming, based off of how much work they've done with us, they're trying to remain kosher. That's my opinion.
Well, Matthew, we just kind of decided, we don't care about this water thing. We're just
Right.
gonna make a donation to the fire department. End of story.
That bid is for both water and sewer? Just to
Yeah, according to
clarify.
that, according to that, it is, yeah.
That would cover that amount. Counts good with that amount.
Okay, what's council pleasure? Do you want to move this over to new business, bring it up under new business when we do the rest of the motions?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, well, anyway, I wanted to share with you the homework that you didn't have for last meeting, so, anyway. Is there any other old business to be brought up? If not, we'll go into new business and,
I guess I have a little old business. I stay in touch with the realtor who is holding Pinter's property across the road from mine. So and she wanted to know, if she doesn't maintain the property, because I told her we have an ordinance that you have to keep your grass cut, you have to keep the property pretty clean. And she said, well, what's the fine if I don't? And I didn't know the answer to that question. So the ordinance states you have to keep your property cleaned up, grass cut, blah, blah, blah. But what do we do if someone doesn't?
There's a penalty at the bottom of the ordinance.
Okay, so it's in the ordinance.
Yeah, you can fine them.
That's what
and
she's
then
asking.
it can be an aggregate, so say it's $50 a day, the second day's $100,
Yeah.
the third day's $150, you can fine them every single day they're out of compliance.
All right, I think
The exact number of the penalty, I don't know, I'm sorry, but I know it's aggregate, so that you
Yeah,
can 50, 100,
increases.
150, yeah.
But generally, we have given them an opportunity, we would potentially cut it one time and send them the bill, correct?
Right.
That's what
And
we've
then
kind of done.
ask them to pay the bill, and then if they don't respond, the next time we have to cut it, the price goes up. You know, so it behooves them to address the problem to begin with.
But in the ordinance, we could just go right after, we don't have to cut the grass at all.
After notice, we could fine them, yeah. In the
Well,
ordinance,
The next thing, if they don't respond after a couple of times, then they'll put a lien on the property.
that'll, yeah.
That's probably good enough for her. I'll talk to her and
Yeah.
convey that to her, and then we'll see what happens.
I don't like to go that step, there's a lot of
Right.
extra work and everything.
It
but
came
still,
from her, though. She's
That's
asking
the
me.
way you get their attention,
All right,
so.
all right, I'll report back next time, next meeting.
Okay.
The girls can give you a copy, do you have the ordinance?
I don't.
The girls can get it for you.
Okay,
Pull it up,
I just
copy
asked
of
for
it
it.
if you wanna give it to her and say, here's the ordinance, here's the fines.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, any other old business? No. Okay, we're going into new business. TC, did you want to start off with what you had?
So do you want to make your motion on your financial statement and your bills?
Oh, okay, well, okay. I have two things there, the financial statement and list of bills. Okay, let's do the list of bills first then. List of bills, September 2021. You all have a copy of that. You should have had it in your council pack. I would entertain a motion that we pay the September 2021 list of bills as presented.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, is there any question on the motion? If there be no question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. And then we also have Jamie's August 31, 2021 financial statement. I'm sure we all have it memorized now. So, if there be no questions on yet, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial statement as presented and filed for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the financial statement? If there be no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, back to you, TC.
Okay, you're all familiar with the plat of Castleton here in the village of Bethlehem. To quickly run through the history, the plat of Castleton was accepted by the village. I think it was back in, I don't know, 2014, somewhere back there, or maybe before, but we did not accept the roadway. The roadway was put in before. Our engineers had an opportunity to inspect it and oversee it. And so Castellan Drive is not part of our roadway system, and we don't provide maintenance for it. There is another street on the amended plat called West Castellan Drive, and there's a number of lots down there that are for sale. Mr. Andy Tallman is here tonight, attorney in town, represents an Adam Oberdick purchaser, and he's here tonight too. They've approached me. We worked with Jack Tush on this. What Mr. Oberdick wants to do is buy 4 of the lots, the remaining 4 lots, I think it is, and there's a parcel of property on the original plat designated as a park, which is just a lot sitting over the west, off of West Castellan Drive. He wants to, all of the owners of all the other lots in Castellan have agreed to abandon any claim to that park. They've all agreed for him to buy all those lots and build one home on the lots. And Mr. Tallman had prepared an agreement called an amendment and modification of the plat of Castellan. I've worked with him, I've gone over it. I put language in to protect the village. The village's only interest in it is it's situated within the village of Bethlehem. So the agreement provides that all the individuals or private entities owning property in there agree to modify the plat. The second part of it is that the road labeled West Castellan Drive would be abandoned, as would the park in there, which on the plat, the original plat sets forth those two, the West Castellan Drive as well as the park. The agreement provides that West Castellan Drive has never been built, never been developed for public use, never been accepted by the village of Bethlehem into the village road system. The agreement also provides that the owners of lots 14, 15, 16, and 17, and the park, which would be all the owners in the subdivision, have some interest in the park, agreed to sell that property to Mr. Oberdick and abandon any interest they have in it, in order that he can build a single-family dwelling on the property. The plat already contains a right of ingress and egress to these lots off of the original Castellan Drive. Jack Tush has assured me. And the water and sewer lines, there's a public right-of-way on each side of the original Castellan Drive on the original plat that's still the same. Doesn't affect that at all. This agreement provides that the parties, the owners of all the lots, wish to abandon the public park for public use to permit construction of a single-family dwelling, as well as the lots which he is buying. It provides that the Village of Bethlehem, a municipal corporation in which the development known as the Plat of Castellan is located, has no objection to the abandonment of the park and the roadway labeled West Castellan Drive as designated on the plat. It doesn't have any consequence to us, one way or the other. The agreement provides that West Castellan Drive, once abandoned, as well as the park, would no longer be dedicated to public use. A new plat, called a revised plat of Castellan, will be recorded. And at that time, we, through our mayor, would sign off on that plat, and that would replace the former one. The agreement specifically provides language that I drafted, that the Village of Bethlehem, a municipal corporation, agrees to the amendment and modification of the plat of Castellan, but by doing so does not accept the roadways as shown on the revised plat of Castellan, recorded in the office of the High County Clerk, West Virginia, and the plat book and page number will be filled in when it's recorded. So, my recommendation to you tonight is to authorize the mayor to enter into this agreement. I'm telling you, it doesn't have any consequence on us as far as legalities or liabilities. Castellan Drive still remains responsibility that those who live in there. We have none. The water and sewer lines we've already accepted, and those are our responsibility. So there's no change to us whatsoever. It's merely changing 4 lots into 1 lot along with the park so that this man can build a home. If he's going to build a home in there, it's to the advantage of the village. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. But what I'm telling you is there's no effect to
Right.
There's like a semicircle in the middle of the road.
Can you hand the paper around to the new plot plan? Do you have a copy with you?
No, it's not done yet.
Okay.
Do
You got the old one so we can compare?
I can show you.
Here,
the
Andy, just-
old.
He's got it highlighted what he's purchased.
Okay, that's what I think we ought to clarify, because some of us know what's going on, and,
He's buying everything that's yellow,
all right.
and it's all gonna become 1 lot.
So that's the entrance to Green Tree, that's the
Yeah.
house at the top of the hill.
Right.
This is all the ones he's buying, like, and then there was originally supposed to be a little semicircle right here, see how
Right.
like
Park.
road here? And they were gonna put a park in
Eliminate
there,
that.
so he
Or
wants to buy all
dissolve
that.
So all the lots are pretty much spoken for then now.
I'll tell you what,
Well-
that's pretty close to how I drew it, isn't it? Good.
Yeah, you can pass it around so
Yeah.
everybody sees it.
All right.
Yeah.
And we're not taking any responsibility of the road.
Everything highlighted is what he's gonna buy. That's in town.
No, at the top. So it's everything on the right. Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't care.
What are you gonna do about a driveway? That's steep when you come off the road there.
I know, we've been talking a lot to the builder on some options.
Right. I walk over there all the time. I live on Westgate, and my wife and I walk up and then down Green Tree and up Castle and then back. And we always talk about that. Man, that's a steep drop off.
Well, that's partly why we need the park and
Right.
West Castleton, is otherwise the builder said you wouldn't.
Go
be
above the
able-
house and come back into it. That's
You
smart.
wouldn't be able to build just on those 4 lots without those other 2 pieces.
Right.
That's the crux of it.
I don't have a problem with it myself. I don't know how you guys feel.
So if,
With all due respect, who drew up the agreement between the property owners?
I drew it.
So you didn't do their work, you just did that little bit for ours, you said at the
I
end.
inserted for
Okay,
us what
okay.
pertained to us.
And when we will not be responsible for it, period.
The road, no.
The
The
road.
water and sewer line, we already
Oh,
are.
yeah,
We
which-
fixed multiple breaks on the water line,
Yeah.
but the road, no. And it's a horribly built road. I feel sorry for with that road,
Yeah,
man.
we're trying to stay away from that road.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Go back a little bit of history. The roadway was put in December 1 year. And Greg Hunter, who has the development, he did it on his own. He told us he put rebar, he put mesh,
No,
he
he
put salt in there to help it set up and all that. But, and it hasn't, and that's why we didn't accept it. But we accepted the water and sewer line prior to that. So we know what that is, and we've made some repairs over there on the lower side, and then when the new houses came, we extend the line and put the taps and so on and so forth.
I would make a motion to approve the revised plat
Andy's
plan.
got something
Oh,
to say.
go ahead,
I just
Andy.
wanna be clear, cause you're live streaming, aren't you, or you're recording?
No,
They're
it's recording for
Oh,
Facebook.
okay, well, just in case someone from Castellan's watching, this is the first step that we're doing, and then tomorrow, if we get approval, we'll be sending this agreement out to all the residents in Castellan with my number and Adam's number to answer any questions, to get their permission on that agreement. Okay, so the residents have not consented, all of the residents have not consented yet.
I'd make a motion to approve the revised plat plan as presented by the solicitor. I can't talk.
Upon approval of residents.
Upon approval of residents, added to the motion, please.
I second.
How about add to that, Tim, and the amendment and modification of the plat of Castellan?
TC, can you start
There's a
from
separate agreement.
Okay.
TC, can you start from the beginning and read me a motion that should be documented?
Yeah, motion to approve the revised plat of Castellan, and the amendment and modification of the plat of Castellan as it has been presented as of this day,
And upon approval of the residents.
and upon approval of the residents.
Mark says, I need to file, I need lots of
Right.
lots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Essentially, yes. You're exactly right.
You can almost do that later.
I'll reiterate making the motion that as stated by TC.
Second.
Randy second.
Okay, a motion has been made and second. Is there any questions on the motion, further questions on the motion? Well, I ask one thing, what's your intentions? Are you gonna put a
Just say.
house with apartments up, or what's,
Yeah, just a one residential house, yes.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna build a house.
Yeah,
Okay.
one house,
Yeah.
single
That's-
family.
Okay, that was the only question I had that haven't covered yet, okay. Okay, if, any other question on the motion? No question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Good luck, man.
Thank you,
Welcome
council.
to the village.
See you guys. Good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, council.
See you, Andy.
Okay,
The second matter I have to report on is dealing with, going back to the, you remember, we sought a advisory opinion from the West Virginia Ethics Commission regarding two issues. You all know what those were. They all dealt with whether or not there was a conflict of interest to prevent members of the council, or any members, or all members of the council from voting with regard to the Bethlehem Fire Department. We received an advisory opinion from the West Virginia Ethics Commission, which in essence said that the commission holds that that as the organization is incorporated as a for-profit corporation, West Virginia Code such and such requires the mayor of the municipality to recuse himself in the manner prescribed under West Virginia Code 6B25J3 from all votes, and from any deliberation and decision concerning appropriations made by the municipality. Recusal is also required of the other municipal officials who hold 5% or more of the outstanding stock of the class of the organization. We determined at that meeting back then that nobody owns 5% of the stock or more, so that did not apply to anybody else. The only person it applied to was Dawn at the time of that opinion, which was back in June. That opinion also said that the requester, meaning the Village of Bethlehem, provided a copy of the city ordinance that requires recusal in situations in which officials have certain ties to the organization, meaning under our ordinance. The commission said that public bodies subject to the Ethics Act are not prohibited from enacting stricter standards to govern the conduct of their affairs. And that's under West Virginia Code of Regulations, such and such. The Ethics Commission is not, however, empowered to interpret and construe the ordinance of local municipalities. So they said it's legal for us to have a ordinance which is stricter than the requirements of the West Virginia Ethics Act, and they're enforceable, and they don't issue rulings on those. They only issue rulings with regard to the state statutes. So, following that, I think sometime in July, the mayor requested that I contact the Ethics Commission and advise them that the Bethlehem Fire Department had filed proper documents and obtained a restated certificate of incorporation and business organization, and provide them to me, which I reviewed and which I sent off to the commission, because the commission said in their earlier opinion, if it comes to light that the organization is or becomes a nonprofit corporation, the municipal officials will be bound by West Virginia Code 6B25J1D, which is different from the other one, which provides that if the public official or immediate family member is an uncompensated officer or board member for the nonprofit, then the public official shall publicly disclose such relationship prior to the vote on the appropriations of public monies or award of contract to the nonprofit. The financial interest of a nonprofit corporation may not be imputed to the unpaid officer or unpaid member. So what they're saying is, fire department becomes, changes from profit to nonprofit, then the mayor, the restrictions on the mayor would be released, and everybody would be guided by what I just read you, under the State Ethics Act. So, I provided, at the mayor's request, to the, hold on one second, to the West Virginia Ethics Commission, correspondence this September the 16th. And summarizing it simply says that West Virginia Ethics Commission, in response to the request of the requesters, meaning us, issued an advisory opinion 2021-12 on June 3. And a copy of that advisory opinion is enclosed herewith as an attachment for your expeditious review. And I attached the opinion. And I pointed out to them the major rulings that it contained that I just read to you. And I said to them that because they said if circumstances come to light that it's not a that it's not a profit corporation anymore, let them, to let them know, meaning the Ethics Commission. So I said, following the receipt of the West Virginia Ethics Commission advisory opinion, the Bethlehem Fire Department, Inc. took the necessary steps required by the Secretary of State of West Virginia to amend the Articles of Incorporation to qualify as a, quote, nonprofit corporation. Pursuant to that matter, please find the following documents. I sent them a copy of the restated Certificate of Incorporation from the Secretary of State, the amended and restated Articles of Incorporation of the Bethlehem Fire Department, which you have to file in order to get the certificate, and a copy of the West Virginia Secretary of State's office filing with regard to the business license being changed from a profit to a nonprofit. I asked them that, I told them that the Village of Bethlehem acknowledges that its current municipal officials will now be bound by the West Virginia Code 6B-25J12. That's the one that applies to everybody, as set forth in the previously issued advisory opinion. If the West Virginia Ethics Commission is of the opinion that a supplement or amendment to the previously issued advisory opinion should be issued, please forward any supplement or amendment of the advisory opinion to the undersigned at my law office address. And that was it. So whether or not they'll issue a supplemental opinion, I don't know whether they'll offer an amendment. But since the Bethlehem Fire Department, Inc. has become legitimately a nonprofit, that section of the code that I told you about is the one that applies to them now. That doesn't have anything to do with regard to the village ordinance. The village ordinance is still there. It's still good. And whatever comes of it, you know, it's going to be up to you people. But if I get something from them, I'll certainly supply it to you. But what I learned in doing this thing was that the Bethlehem Fire Department, Inc., I thought it was a nonprofit. It was operating as one, but it wasn't. It had a certificate of incorporation as a for-profit. It didn't do anything wrong. It filed documents as a 503c corporation. It filed its tax returns that way. I received those from its accountant when I was doing the original one, and that's what caused the confusion, or part of the confusion, for the Ethics Commission. They're claimed to be nonprofit, but they're really profit because they looked at the Secretary, of State's office records. So I wanted to report that. That's the update that you requested, and where you stand now is you're all bound by that provision of the code. I don't think the mayor has to recuse himself anymore since it is a nonprofit.
We're also still bound by the village ordinance, right?
You are.
Okay.
What ordinance are we referring to?
The ordinance that says no member of council having any relationship whatsoever with an entity to be funded is allowed to vote or discuss funding of the entity. Any relationship whatsoever.
Funding, you say?
Or having anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to vote on any aspect. We could pull it, paragraph 35, section G, the exact wording eludes me. TC, do you have it?
Pardon me?
Do you have that ordinance in front of you?
No, I don't. Give me
Okay.
a minute. I think
It's under elected officials, duties of elected
I
officials.
have,
That's the ordinance you're referring to?
Yes.
says,
No member having any relationship with the entity can
it's
vote.
chapter 31.01
Paragraph G.
of the code of Bethlehem Code 1976. And it says, any member of council having any interest, direct or indirect, other than as a citizen of the municipality, in any manner to be acted upon in any way by the council.
Tom, can I stop you? Back up when you said something about member or member of the community.
Other than as a member of the
It
community.
says, this is the rule applying to, this is under the Bethlehem Code,
Yeah, so.
that as part of the conflicts provision. It says, any member of council
Right.
having any interest, direct or indirect, other than as a citizen of the municipality.
Okay, that's the statement. Other than citizen, what does that mean?
So that means if you have an interest other than just as Joe citizen. So my contention would be that you have an interest in seeing the fire department being well funded other than just as a citizen because you're a member of the fire department. Or, and I'm devil's advocate.
No.
He has an interest in seeing the fire department well funded other than a citizen because he's the financial director
Yeah,
or
on the
whatever
board.
for the fire department.
Also, if I may add, not to interrupt, Tommy and I have never been firemen, but we have stock.
Stock, yes.
So that wipes us out.
Right, so then indirectly, they have an interest in seeing the fire department do well because they're stockholders.
Well, I'm not
As are
sure
other
about
members.
that now because once they filed for that nonprofit, Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, cause I don't know. The stock is more or less defunct, it's a donation now, because you can't own stock after we're a nonprofit. So if Tim, if you want to go buy stock right now, it's not really stock, and it's not an interest in the company, it's a donation for $10 a share.
So a judge in Marshall County disagrees with you and says that a nonprofit organization, being the Moundsville Country Club, sold stock just like the fire department did, and is now granting those stockholders a share in the sale of the country club. So that, I think we should wait on that to be filed.
We have
You know
to,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because that would disagree with your claim. Not that I'm saying it's wrong.
Exactly. And
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
And I'm not a stockholder in either.
Yeah.
Right. But I know it's before the judge right now in Marshall County that the stockholders of the country, and you know this,
I do.
the stockholders of the country club are entitled to the $8 million in the sale. You know, there's certain people fighting saying, no, they shouldn't get it because it's a donation.
Exactly.
They're just waiting on the judge to rule.
Well, yeah, in Ohio County, the Wheeling Country Club, the stockholders are getting the money after the deaths. There's a claim in that one.
But that's the village ordinance.
Yeah, okay, and that was the ordinance I wasn't familiar with when he said that, and
Mhm.
ordinance
Yeah, it's
like that.
31.01.
31.01.
Yeah, Rule 7, underneath that. So, and I think is what Tim said is, basically, that's what it's saying. If you want me to read the whole thing again, we went over and over this before.
No, not necessary at this point.
You know, I'm not bringing up, I simply did what I was asked to do or told to do, and that was to bring to their attention that there's no longer a profit corporation, and they did it correctly.
Right, that's what I was told.
In other news, Ben just came in. There was a couple trees came down across the road at the top of the hill, but he's already got it cleared, so we'll be fine to leave when it's time to leave.
There's still bright lights up there.
Yeah, they were clearing the trees, fell over at
No,
the
I mean,
top of the
still
road.
right now.
Oh, yeah.
Unless that's electric.
So just, hey TC, just to check, are we all allowed to vote on giving them that money earlier tonight?
Well, I can't answer that.
No, that's a good point. I mean,
It's a donation,
Now,
you can.
the end of
vote
that,
vote your conscience.
the end of TC's ordinance does, or not TC's ordinance, the village's ordinance, I'm sorry, that TC just read, does offer a stipulation that would affect this case that says, unless otherwise allowed by a vote of all members of council. Right, TC?
Oh, wait, I have to go back and find it again.
So if we all say, yes, you can vote on this sole matter regarding this one donation, I think it would be okay. I'm with you, Steve.
I gotta stand up.
Yep, go ahead, buddy.
that's fine.
I can't take it anymore.
Yep.
Let me find it.
I think it's the last sentence of that ordinance, Steve, that says, unless,
Oh, wait, I'm just reading it wrong.
Tom. So if I'm hearing Tom correct, so he's saying now Dawn can vote, but yet the ordinance says you can't.
Alright, and this ordinance can supersede state law.
Right.
In a nutshell.
You'll recall the original Ethics Commission ruling
Ruling,
was,
yeah.
based on West Virginia rules, Dawn's not allowed to vote.
Yeah. 'Cause
We're not even the village has the sole right to make stricter laws, which it did through the ordinance that you just read. We're not even gonna judge that because that's your own gig.
Yeah.
So now that they're a nonprofit, the Ethics Commission is going to say, they're a nonprofit, now according to the state law, Dawn can vote. But you still have
Yeah,
your
state ordinance.
more strict village ordinance,
Right.
which they didn't issue an opinion on
Right.
the first time, which I think is what we were all hoping for, right? Right.
I don't find that, let me read it to you, I don't find that provision in there you just mentioned. About the unanimous thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It says, any member of council having any interest, direct or indirect, other than as a citizen of the municipality in any manner, to be acted upon in any way by the council, shall have no vote on such matter, nor shall he be privileged to take part in discussion thereof, except by unanimous consent, and upon the request of any other member of council, he shall, he shall retire from the session until such matter has been disposed of. So he has to actually physically remove him or herself, is what that's saying.
Unless, how do you say
So
unless?
it's unanimous. Read that again, Tom, unanimous sentence.
Unless
Well, I have to read the whole thing.
requested.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any member of council having any interest, direct or indirect, other than as a citizen of the municipality, in any manner to be acted upon in any way by council, shall have no vote on such matter, nor shall he be privileged to take part in the discussion thereof, except by unanimous consent.
Stop there.
That's
Stop, hold there.
Unanimous
Before you
consent.
continue, I would read that as saying, except by unanimous consent, if we all agree,
Right.
yes, we can discuss this one matter
And vote upon it.
That's how I
and
interpret
vote upon it, and then, does that make sense?
Before discussion.
That's reason.
Okay. The first time
And
I've
that's
ever
what-
been accused of that.
I'll second that next. No, that's why I had him stop there, because I thought that would be what you're thinking of, Tim, the unanimous
Right.
consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like,
The next big catch will be the terminology of actually who is or who isn't able to discuss or vote. Truthfully, I mean, if first off, if it's now a nonprofit, are they members with the donation? Second off, I'm a cousin of a guy who, third off, what do we got? We got all kind of things going on here. So the
Relationships.
clarity on all those relationships will have to be defined if we ever have to do it.
But that would be in circuit court, that wouldn't be with the ethics
Right.
commission, that would have to go, we would actually,
Right.
how many thousands of dollars have we spent already?
and lawyer fees?
Just the village,
Yeah.
figuring this out.
That,
Yep.
My concern would be the stock thing. So I own stock, Bob owns stock, Tom, you own stock, and
Dawn, Steve.
no one else?
But does
Are
it
you
start,
still-
does it start
are you
all
still a
over?
member?
Pardon me?
Are you still an active member?
Yes, I'm on the books as an
That's
active
two,
member.
that's two against you, really, because you're a member and a stockholder.
Well, my point was this,
I'm
after.
Lauren, you're out. I'm joking, I'm joking.
After Tom said we're a nonprofit now, officially, the stock, I think, and I don't know, we'd have to get clarification.
TC,
I don't
could
think it would
you,
apply.
could you clarify that through, I don't know if it would be the treasurer or who you'd have to speak through the fire department, you as,
I think that
our
should be a-
solicitor, could
I
you
think that should be the fire department's expense, not the village's, but if you want me
Well,
to do
I
it,
kinda
I
I'm
will.
saying
We
for
should pick
you
that.
to verify what, I should say, what position the village council's in if they held stock prior, because that does affect council technically, my opinion.
Yeah, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that could have ties to the fire department based on stock, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we
Or
can,
family relationships,
Yeah.
or direct
It-
membership.
Exactly. So if we need to get some clarification, so we can make a informed decision about future stuff in this.
Well, only if it tends,
Donation.
if it comes up. And it can't come up
So we're gonna-
amongst all of us, no discussion, unless we all agree. So when that time comes, we'll deal with it.
And I got two questions, quick. What year did that ordinance come into effect?
76.
No,
76.
76 or prior.
Okay, what year did B&O tax, percentage of B&O tax that the village of Bethlehem started giving to the fire department? What year was that?
It's not in the ordinance.
76,
So 76.
when John Daniel was in.
Okay, I knew John was in. So how did they do that back then?
I don't know, I think this, in other words, in 1976,
You were the
We-
solicitor back then when you came
we
aboard.
codified what was existing at that time. I didn't write that.
Well, you didn't write that ordinance.
No. That was in existence, and we took all the ordinances that were in existence that we could find. If you recall, after Caldwell had destroyed somebody,
Exactly.
various council people had ordinances and everything. We took all those, and we hired a company, and we had those codified.
Okay. That was my,
As the Bethlehem Code of 1976, and I think it actually was finished probably in 77 or 78 when we adopted it.
okay.
We shipped it out to be done.
You answered my two questions.
That goes back to the original, I think probably the original founders of Bethlehem.
It's a chicken and
You
an
wanna
egg question, yours.
table it and then just
Well,
find out whether the stock thing is an issue.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
But I also fully understand that you guys are sitting on an empty building that needs water and sewer. And I am not opposed to the village giving some kind of donation.
Yeah, this doesn't prohibit you.
Right.
If
Right.
there's unanimous.
Right.
So,
Unanimous.
with that being said,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow the bypass of any conflict of interest as stated in ordinance 35, what's the number you rattled off there, section 3101, paragraph G.
G, Rule 7.
Rule 7 for this specific funding request from the Bethlehem Fire Department. And only this specific funding request from the Bethlehem Fire Department. Please make sure that that motion is verbatim in the minutes.
Due to unanimous vote.
Yeah, we're all gonna, I'm asking for unanimous vote to allow the vote, the consideration. Did that make sense?
Yeah, but I just don't understand how no one can second that because everyone else
Sure we
has
can.
lied.
Sure we
Okay,
can.
check the
Second.
recorder.
It still has some juice.
Unanimous consent.
Second.
It has a little bit of juice in it.
We already voted on it.
It's blinking, I don't know if that's good or bad.
That would be bad when I quit.
That would be bad.
Yeah. You have a charger?
Well, we
Okay,
have-
to make it a legit thing, like we would all do it, I request a roll call vote. That way, it's all in ink.
Well, let's do that. Let me start another recorder
Okay.
too because that one's about to die.
I can rephrase the motion if you're
No. Well, that
Rephrase
comes
the
after
motion.
the motion, but,
if it didn't record the motion. You know, his recorder went dead.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it's about to die.
It's still
still
recording.
okay.
Yeah.
But not much. Barely.
Pretty much what I wanted my motion to say was, we can,
Just sit it there, I'm gonna sit back there.
like to make a motion to bypass ordinance 31.01, paragraph G, rule 7, for this one instance, to provide a one-time donation to the Bethlehem Fire Department, to allow the vote on the consideration of a one-time donation
Okay.
to the Bethlehem Fire Department. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Okay.
does make sense.
Okay.
Aaron seconded it,
Yes.
and I just feel that we need it on paper.
Right.
We're all on.
Yeah, we're asking for a
Paper trail.
one-time, we're gonna
Right.
do it per the rules, per unanimous consent for a issue on the vote. For the one-time donation, it's gonna help them get their water and sewer tied in. Maybe.
Well, yeah.
You can use it for whatever you want.
So now we need to decide what we're voting on and how much.
Okay, we have a
Well, we
motion
don't-
in the second.
Yeah, it's-
correct?
We've gotta vote on my motion.
Well, we gotta have the consent first.
No.
No.
Yeah, we gotta vote on
Yeah.
my
Oh,
motion.
yeah,
for the-
consent, then you'll discuss the boundary line.
My motion
Yeah.
is for the consent. We need to vote on that.
Aaron seconded, so we now take a vote.
Right, roll call
Okay,
vote.
is there any more discussion on the motion that's been put on the table?
Does that make sense?
Okay, if there's no further discussion, then the roll call vote was requested. Matt, you want to go around the horn?
Yes. Councilman Otten,
Yes.
Councilman Bishop.
Yes.
Councilman Hersha,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Junkins,
Yes.
Councilman Sassine,
Yes.
Recorder Sassine, yes. Councilman Snyder,
Yes.
Councilman Wisner,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do-
Say motion carries.
Oh. I thought he was going to announce it. Okay. Do you want to announce the results and say
yes.
9 ayes?
9 yeses, 0 nos.
Okay.
Okay, so
Which is unanimous consent.
Motion carried.
talk
Now
about
we
how
can-
much
how
the
much.
donation for the water and sewer fund can be.
Open for discussion.
Well, my point is, Tim, I don't know that we wanna say water and sewer, we just wanna make a donation to the fire department, they can do whatever
Correct.
they want. It's not tied to anything other than we wanna make a donation. Everyone in agreement with that?
I think we should at least stipulate it to assist in the construction of their building.
Fine, coming from the general
Yeah,
fund.
yeah.
Okay.
You know, that was our, I think, original intent that was made a couple months ago or something, that the village wanted to help out in some way, shape, or form, what we're discussing tonight. And that's why we got they picked out this project, and that's why.
What's a number everybody's comfortable with?
Jamie, you wanna
Jamie, what
chime in?
number are you comfortable with? What number are you
Yeah.
comfortable
I don't even have all the bids, so I don't know if you're thinking you only wanna do, the only one I seen was the 15. I don't have any idea.
That was the
what
lowest.
doing.
Well,
So, I don't know what the highest one is.
I can
I
tell you,
mean,
I got them from the.
financially, you're okay.
What's in the checking right now? What's in the cash?
Between the two accounts,
What do you mean, two accounts?
so, we were moving everything over to United, but the, one progressive account for the general fund is still open, because we've been working with the state to switch
Okay.
over accounts and direct deposits,
Sure.
it's been a slow process to get them to do it. So if you look, in the general fund, in the checking for progressive, there's 96,000, and in United, there's almost 379,000. So, I mean, if you're talking a $20,000 donation here, you are fine to do that.
so my question would be, 15 was gonna cover, if you wanna look at
There
it
was
from
the
water
three
and sewer.
quotes on this
But
project.
do you wanna get more? It's like,
Well, the bids were 15,
Alright.
21, and 57.
21.6 and 54.5. Those,
I'd be comfortable with 20. That's just me. It's a happy, good, happy
Overfund the
medium.
project?
What's that?
Overfund the project?
Well, there's 15, 21, and 57. I said 20, kind of like in the middle.
yeah, and Matt's thinking that they
Go to
underbid
Kroger
for,
for a gallon of milk and they say $3. Do you give them 8?
Well, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, he's allowed his opinion.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I mean, in other worlds other than a municipality setting, the three bids, I'm not saying this is what council's going to do, but in many situations, the three bids would be taken and divided by 3, and that's generally,
average.
that's actually how it, in construction it works. I'm not saying we're doing that.
Then one's extremely high compared to the other.
Yes.
Correct.
It would
50,
go
almost
through
60 grand.
completely.
Well, look,
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
they came to us to ask for something, and I think we're willing to give it, and they're happy with the one, just so happens to be lowest. So I think that's what they got what they asked for. The full bid that you're gonna take. And I believe you would take HP, right?
Yeah, I believe they, already,
Okay.
I already talked to HP and said. go
Not that I
ahead.
don't wanna give more,
No.
but let's face it, that's what you asked for. We're happy to give it here, I
I'm
guess.
comfortable with 15.
What's the exact figure on HP's bid, Don?
15 on the
15
bottom.
15
is
15,000.
15 even,
Flat?
Mhm.
yeah.
I'd be comfortable with 15. It funds the project. If that's what they choose to
I
do.
mean, if
then
they
I
were
don't
all
have to say that.
they were all within $5 each other, you'd be perfectly happy with 15. I don't know why we would stretch it more at this point. There may be something later we can do for them, or they might ask us for.
I'm certainly okay with 15, especially after what Jamie said.
I think his reasoning is reasonable.
Randy.
Marks.
Yes,
Marks.
Steve. Oh.
I can agree with Mark.
I guess I will too.
Thanks.
Quit kicking me, will you?
No, I mean, contrary to belief, yes, everyone knows I've been a member of the department, but I'm here representing the village citizens, not me.
Correct.
I'm not here for me. I don't know
Correct.
if you guys believe that or not. I'm here for the village, the citizens of the village. So when I try to vote on their behalf, not what I think or want. So,
That's what you should do.
yeah, exactly. That's what we all should be.
And let's face it, somewhere down the road, there may be something important to the village that we wish they'd have done, or that we could always do a little more if it's really, really needed, you know.
What if in exchange for that 15K, they donate that property that's got playground equipment on it by Bob Field?
Tim, you're asking the wrong person.
No,
I don't have
I'm
any
saying,
knowledge or interest.
would that be
in
a suggestion? I mean, because I really don't think it would be in our best interest to buy it, because nobody else is going to want to buy it, so it's worthless to everybody else.
Yeah.
So what if they donated that playground section of Bob
And then
for that 15,000 donation? A little donation for donation.
we're willing to look into putting new playground equipment on that
What
come springtime.
Reasonable question.
What would you think of that?
It's sandwiched between two.
Nobody's going to buy it.
That's what I mean, it's sandwiched between the firehouse and the law firm, the ball field, and if the ball field ever defuncts, it goes back to the people that were the heirs of
Yeah, the
the
Bob.
ball field.
Bob
Yeah.
Field, yeah.
Would
And
we
there's
have-
only one entrance where you go down.
Right.
But is that, would we have egress? Is that the true entrance?
We have the entrance. Bob owns
On
the
map-
playground.
On the map.
Bob owns the first baseline playground, or the field.
Right.
The hillside next to Mrs. Frazier's and the entrance road, we own.
No,
No,
be
Are you
careful.
sure?
No,
We
no.
cut it.
Guy across the street
Burns.
pays the taxes. Burns.
Burns owns that,
yeah, see, they're somehow related to
too.
Chuck Burns.
I
is.
thought
They
we
are,
had.
they were.
I
Well,
thought we
yeah,
had
there's
the
some
road going
siblings
down
in
in.
that
He-
family.
And he pays the taxes, what he told me.
I thought we had the road going down in.
We can verify that.
And he's perfectly happy letting everybody use it forever. But if you go stop and talk to him, it should be straightened out. It should-
Yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
we need to be clarified on, yeah, I agree that whoever buys, if the fire department sells or leases or rents, they ain't gonna use it.
If they don't want it, they should give it to us.
There's a strip of land through there, it's always been a playground
it's
since
not
I was a
that-
kid.
Yeah, and if it's not an asset to their sale, I truly think we should maintain it as a playground like we always
Absolutely.
have.
As long as
Absolutely.
there's a
for the
ball field
kids.
there.
Yep, as long as there's a ball field there, absolutely. I know Shane's trying to buy the building. I know he wants to buy the building. I talked to him, he said he'd be willing, if they're not willing to donate the playground equipment to it, he'll buy it and donate it to us. He said, it would be part of the big property. He said that should belong to the village
Well,
shouldn't have
then
to
they
pay
could,
for
then
it.
you guys can hash
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, But I think it would be a great gesture, a donation for a donation.
Yes?
Whoever buys the building is not in, would not be interested in the land behind there. It's.
Nobody's
You
gonna
don't-
be
you don't
interested in the
know.
land behind there.
You don't
That's
know.
right.
Well, you don't know, and we don't know who's gonna end up with that property.
Right.
So that's the big issue.
What's their sale price on the building?
I have no idea, Tom. No idea. I don't
Don't get
sit
any
on the
ideas.
board.
Don't get any ideas.
I'm just wondering what the asking price is.
We'd love to have your B and O, TC.
Well, keep in mind, gentlemen, that the fire department's gonna go and get that water and sewer line and any work we need done, period.
Sure.
Whether we give them money or not,
Yeah.
it's gonna get done.
Right.
So, this is just a vote on how much money
How
you-
much?
This is
we
just a
wanna
nice
give
thing to do.
Yeah.
Are
It
you
is.
okay with straw poll? Are you okay with 15?
Well, be truthful about it, I never thought it'd get this far. So I really never gave it too much of a thought.
What?
I didn't think it would get this far.
What do you mean?
Well, with the quagmire of everything going on. I'm good with whatever the whole says, the council as a whole. If they say 15, I'm good with 15.
And if we said 20?
Well,
We're not saying 20.
That sounds
I see Bobby's point, you know what I mean? But, you know, those guys are gonna have to buy an ambulance, there's gonna be a fire truck, or whatever things, like Mark said, down the road. If you guys wanna give the money, it ought to be able to cover,
We can't stipulate that. though.
I know, we
Yeah.
can't sit, but,
Well,
you know, what they got going on right now to make it a working firehouse.
Sure. So he's on board with 15.
I vote for 15.
Straw poll 15. I know you suggested it, so you're good with it. You're okay
I'm
with it?
with it.
You're okay with 15?
Whatever the council wants to go along with.
It's a yes or no question.
yes, sir.
Well,
You're okay with
that's
it?
a yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
You'd be okay with it. All right, somebody make the motion.
Now, stupid little addendum. If you required you to list it in your list of donors at the end at the village,
By the way,
get it on the record.
What's that?
You know what I mean?
suffice, my vote.
You're saying you wanna be noted in the
Quarter gets
village.
the roll
If
call
you
vote
do
too.
a-
I apologize.
yeah.
My apologies.
Okay?
You're
I mean, that sounds
You got
stupid,
I
but you
think
could
it
relay
suffices.
that,
Okay.
because it'll
Yeah.
mean something down the road to.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
I didn't
that
hear it, I
motion.
was talking to the recorder, I
It
apologize.
was not.
It's basically the
$15,000
motion you
motion.
make, 15 grand, to donate to the fire department. And Mark said if we were to, if the fire
They
department
advertise donations.
ever,
Put us in there
yeah,
as,
that you would be, the village would be
village.
listed as donating money. Do you want it to
It's on
be
the
the
record.
exact the exact amount, or just
we
the
have
fact
to.
that they?
How about a list of current council
it
members?
is what it is.
Or a gold star, you can't say the amount.
Yeah,
We could do a
exactly.
challenge.
Just a,
I might
Indication.
challenge you $100 to.
yeah, whatever they decide. If they decide
I might
anything,
challenge you
Bob, I have no
$1,000
idea.
on this film record.
Nope.
You guys give me too much credit for all this
Don,
stuff.
do you wanna
I just-
conclude the motion?
Pardon me?
Do you wanna conclude the motion?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Yeah, well, okay, if you're, any more
No
discussion?
discussion?
Well,
It's been moved to give
moved
them
and seconded.
15.
Okay, any more discussion on the motion? If there be no more discussion on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
All right.
Okay, is there any more new business that has to come up before the board tonight? If that be the case, if there's no more, and there's nobody in the audience, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.